Hey guys, Tuner Marine here. Today I wanted to talk about North Korea. It's a topic that I've got a few questions about, and hopefully you've been following it on the news. If you haven't, then you're slacking and you need to. North Korea, the reason why I want to talk about it, well, there's a few reasons, which I'll cover, but obviously they're making threats and they're posturing and doing everything that North Korea does when they get butthurt. And they are essentially threatening a nuclear war against South Korea and I'm sure against the U.S. This isn't anything new necessarily, but for whatever reason, the news seems to be covering this round of threats a bit more than normal. And so it's something that you guys should be following. You guys should try to understand. If there's a part of it that you don't get, you need to do some research. Just so you understand exactly what's happening. Basically, North Korea feels threatened by the U.S. They feel that we are posturing against them. We've sent B-2, I think it's B-2, stealth fighters over there. We've set up, or in the process of setting up, a anti-missile defense system, which basically, in theory, is supposed to shoot down any sort of missiles, have the ability to stop them, which is good if North Korea decides to try to nuke South Korea or try to nuke one of our bases over there. Obviously, we don't want that to happen, so having that sort of thing in place is good. But they're, of course, taking that and the yearly training exercise that happens between us and South Korea. They always take that as a threat. That we're building up forces in the region. That we're getting ready to invade them. Who knows? Their leader's freaking batshit crazy. And so for whatever reason, this time it's being publicized a lot more. Just how pissed off the leader is, Kim Jong or whatever his name is. And the reason why I want you guys to know about this is because should we go, or should you guys join the Marine Corps or just the military in general, and North Korea is good on their word to attack us somehow or attack South Korea. South Korea is our ally. They have been for freaking ever. And if something happens to them, if they get nuked, if they get just bombed in general, if a war starts, we're going to help them. It's just what the U.S. does, and what that'll mean for you is that, especially if you're infantry or you're just a combat MOS in general, you're going to go and you're going to fight. And I just wanted you guys to be aware of that, because fighting a war against North Korea, they have one of the largest standing armies in the world at, I believe it's, the last estimate was 1.2 million actively serving people. Plus, I'm sure they have a ton of reserve and whatever else. So, I mean, their army is quite large. There's no doubt about that. Their weapons, though, and their technology is pretty outdated. For the most part, they are using Soviet-era weapons. They're using that sort of technology. They're using old-school Russian tanks, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that stuff would kill you, just as dead as anything else. But when compared to our technology that we use as a whole in our military, they're way behind. And so, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to get killed. It doesn't mean we're going to lose a lot of people should that sort of fight happen, which I hope it doesn't. You don't want to see anything like that, because a war like that is going to be much more traditional versus what we've been fighting for the past few years in Iraq and Afghanistan. The issue comes into play, and honestly, if it's just North Korea that decides to pull something, chances are we won't even send in ground units. We have the air capabilities to wipe out everything they have. I'd be willing to bet within a day if we really went balls deep into it. So honestly, if North Korea simply tries something, I'm not overly concerned. Where I get concerned is if their one and only ally, China, decides to get involved, because China's army is huge as well. I'm not sure the numbers on it, but they have a lot of people, and their technology is just as good, if not better, in some regards than ours. And although they're not battle tested necessarily, like they haven't fought a war in a long time, anything major anyway, for the mass of their forces, they still are going to be willing to pull the trigger. They're still going to do what they need to do, to defend their ally, which in this case, North Korea. And I need to check this real quick. I was going to buy something. I can't remember what it was. I want to see. What's the back? Yeah, I think it was the back. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see if we get something better here. Anyway. So, that's what concerns me, is if, yeah, shit. Wait. I don't even know what I clicked. Probably should pay attention. It concerns me if China decides to get involved, because then things will get really, really bad. One, China is just an insanely powerful country in its own right. And two, they're not afraid to fight. They fought us in Korea in the 50s when we had the Korean War. And they're tough opponents. I mean, don't delude yourself into thinking that we can absolutely destroy them. In the end, I honestly think we would beat them and North Korea. But at the same time, we would lose a lot of people and it would cost us, depending on how far each country is willing to take it. And the latest thing with North Korea, which is sort of interesting because I've never really seen them do it. I need to do a bit more research to see if they've done it in the past. But they, as of yesterday, I believe, they're warning foreigners in South Korea, basically people who aren't South Korean, to get out of the country and to stay away, because they essentially don't want to get them involved in a war between the Koreas. Which is interesting to me, and I'm not sure whether to take that seriously or not. Like, to take it as, they're kind of giving an ultimatum, hey, you need to get out because bad things are about to happen. Because one, I've never really seen North Korea give two shits about other countries, or about, just civilians or whatever in those countries. But at the same time, if they are legitimately planning on attacking South Korea, then I see the wisdom in that, because say, for an example, and I don't know if there's, if this is the case or not, but say for an example that Israel has a bunch of civilians there, going to school or something, and they have say some military there doing exercises, and who knows if they do anything with South Korea, I don't, but as an example. And then North Korea decides to nuke Seoul, which is the capital of South Korea, or they decide just to bomb the shit out of a bunch of areas, and they kill some of those Israeli citizens and or military, then you have all of Israel wanting to beat the shit out of you. And if you know anything about Israel, they don't fuck around. You hurt their people and they're going to hurt you. And that's all there is to it. And so I can see the wisdom in North Korea giving that sort of warning out, because if they do give a warning a month out, say, and then they do end up attacking and people get killed, and hey, we warned them and they didn't listen, not our fault. Granted, people will probably still get pissed, and those countries that were affected will probably attack them, but it makes sense in that regard. It's just tough because there's been so many times in the past with North Korea when they have postured and they say they're going to do something, but they never do it. And so it's like, the boy that cried wolf. Eventually you just don't listen, and they become obsolete. You're like, fuck you, you're an idiot. And it's kind of where North Korea is right now. And so I think, especially with this new leader, though, the thing that worries me is that he's so young. He's only 30, and he's in charge of the country. And he's been in charge for like 2 years now, I think. So he started when he was like 27 or 28, which isn't unheard of. necessarily, but these days it pretty much is. But anyway, I think that he is a bit more of a loose cannon versus his father and his grandfather, who all led the country before him. And I think that he wants to show, you know, what he's got. He wants to show that he's not afraid to go through with things, and that's what concerns me. It's like, you know, if you give a crazy person power, you know, what are they going to do with it? And I think that where that really strikes home with you guys, and it's the whole reason this video is, you need to be aware that something very well might kick off in North Korea, and if it does, you guys will be involved. Whether it's you just kick up your training in preparation to deploy, or you guys end up actually deploying, you will go and you will fight, and people will die. The war will be much more traditional. Like I said, I really can't see it being an insurgency of any kind. But that doesn't matter. I mean, in the end, it'll probably cost more people doing a straightforward war. But, you know, who's to say? It's one of those things you don't really know until you get there. And also, I mean, for those of us who've already been there and done that, I'm only 26 at the moment. And so I very well could get called up again to go shoot artillery. Which, if that happens, then, you know, hey, it happens. My wife won't like it, that's for sure, and honestly, I won't like it. But I'm not one of the people to back down should things kick off like that. I'm just, you know, I'm not going to go to Canada or something fucking stupid. Like, I guarantee a good chunk of people in this country would, because they're all a bunch of pussies. But that's why I like making videos for you guys, rather, because I know you're not pussies, and should something like that happen, you guys would stand up and get the job done. But I just wanted to make it very clear to you guys, should you not be aware of that. Because I know when I was a teenager, you know, when I was 16 and 17 and whatnot, I didn't really follow the news. I consider that an old person sort of activity, you know, just something stupid that my parents did. I didn't really pay attention to it at all, in all honesty. But, you know, as they say, your parents tend to be right about most things, and they're definitely right about paying attention to the news and understanding what's going on in the world, because it can directly affect you very, very quickly. So, just want to let you guys know, and I wanted you to just be aware so you can prep more, and so that you can actually decide if joining the military is something you want to do. Because initially, I mean, I'm not saying they would do a draft. If the war got that crazy, they probably will. Just depends really on the situation. These things can go a million different ways. But if you guys want to join the military but don't want to fight, then you really need to consider whether or not that's something you want to do. Because you will fight, especially if you're combat MOS of any kind. So yeah, just so you guys know. If you guys have any specific questions about North Korea, I will do my best to answer it. I will, if I don't know the answer offhand, I will look it up, if it's one of those things that you can look up. Because North Korea is an interesting situation, it really is. And it's one of those things you just got to pay attention, follow closely, and keep an eye on. But yeah, so if you guys, as always, if you have any questions, hit me up on here, on Facebook, you know, through messages, whatever you want to do. Send me up. I'll get back to you as quick as I can. I try to do it within a day. Sometimes I hit it minutes after you guys post because I just happen to be on YouTube. But I try to get everything within a day. And if I don't, I usually get warnings, like if there's a comment, you know, when you guys post a comment. But like if multiple people post comments like on the same video, it doesn't always say, you know, I got a comment from this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy on the same video. It'll just say I got one comment, and I got to get in the habit of checking for more comments, but I usually don't. I'll usually just figure that there's one comment and then call it good. So if I miss your comment or your question, whatever, send me a message in game, or not in game, I'm playing WoW, I'm freaking out. Send me a message through YouTube. That way I see all those. It's impossible to miss a message there, unless I get like 4,000, which I don't. So if there's something really pertinent you want to know about, just definitely message me on YouTube so I don't miss it. But yeah, I'm gonna be trying to do more videos. I really like to do it for you guys, but things have just been crazy lately. I just started school again. Had a 2-week break, which honestly I didn't do a goddamn thing in except play WoW. I played the new SimCity 2013, a little bit of War Thunder, and Redwall. I'm trying to find time to be able to play with you, but on Mondays and Wednesdays I get 5 hours of sleep before I got to be up to go to school, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays I get 4 hours of sleep. So videos, while I try to make them my priority, it's not necessarily going to happen every time, but I'll do what I can. So as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. I enjoy this sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Subscribe.